All right, it is 11:30. Let's go ahead and get started now. Thank you all for making our weekly press coverage with head coach Sean Lewis. And coach, let's just put Miami to bed before we turn our attention to another road test, this time out in the Glass Bowl to take on the Toledo Rockets.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, like we talked about Saturday after the game, not the outcome that we were looking for. We didn't play to the best of our ability, and we got to look at ourselves first and foremost as a staff and the way in which we're preparing the kids so we can put them in the best positions to be successful. We got to do a much better job working on the things that we can control, our ball security, the timely penalties. There's just a lot of self-inflicted wounds there on Saturday that, have shown up the past couple of weeks that we've been addressing. Clearly not enough. So we can get those things corrected, so we can get out of our own way, give ourselves a chance to win those tight ball games that we know that we're going to be in. Each one of these MAC games are going to be that way, especially when you're on the road playing a talented team the way Miami is. It's going to be the same story, same song, this week as we go to Toledo. Team playing really, really well. They've found ways to win big here in conference and generate a lot of turnovers. So talented club, Coach Candle and his staff have them playing really, really well. And again, we got to go on the road. We got to make sure that we give ourselves the best opportunity to win by doing those little things the right way.
Let's go around the room for our weekly round of questions. Let's start with Alan Moff from the Record Courier. Alan, any questions for Coach?
Yeah, Coach. Obviously it's been a tough road for you guys through September. A lot of tough tests. Do you feel like, on the defensive side, you've got some injuries to deal with? That last drive, was there a fatigue factor in there at all, or just didn't execute and just got beat, that type of thing? What did you see there on film?
I think a lot of it has to do with just base techniques, base fundamentals, our pad level, ability to strain and get off blocks. And there's moments and there's opportunities there to where, we got to get the ball to the ground and we got to get off the field. And our kids will be the first ones to tell you that. But, for them to get the ball back with 6 minutes and 7 seconds to go, and for our offense to never see it again, we got to be better as a staff. We got to be better as players. We got to be better as a program so we can give the opportunity, the offense an opportunity there with the ball late.
Just the defense as a whole, you've done a lot of good things, much improved in a lot of areas, but there seems to be those breakdowns with the big plays and that type of thing. What do you kind of see there? What do you need to address? How do you kind of get that taken care of moving forward?
Yeah, again, I think, the theme that has been with that is eye discipline and techniques and fundamentals with it all, right? To where we got to make sure that we're doing a great job, having our eyes in proper keys, proper places, so that we can then use proper technique and proper fundamentals for the pictures that we're seeing. Because again, for the most part, majority of the game, we're playing with good eyes, we're playing with good technique, we're playing with good fundamentals. But there's been those one-off breakdowns that are happening at crucial times that are leading to explosive plays that usually generate points. And again, like we talked about on Saturday, those get inputted into the sum. You can't remove those. You can't do selective math. They all count. And so that's the beauty of this game. It teaches you about life, that every moment counts, and you got to maximize each and every single one of them by having great discipline, by having great eye control, by being a great teammate and doing your job and carrying your water. And when we do that, that's why we've been able to make those strides and make those successes as we've gone defensively, So again, just having that focus and that intensity and that discipline to do right, play after play after play after play, no matter when that occurs in the game. That's just what the job is, and that's what we got to get done.
Do you still feel like you're a lot farther ahead defensively than you've been?
Yeah, I feel good about where we're at. Again, not happy with the results about where it sits and everything, but I do feel good about the progress that we've made. Again, going all the way back to where we were in January, but we got to do a much better job again with our pad level, with our block destruction, and just the relentless pursuit to get the ball carrier to the ground. Like, those are areas that we still need to continue to take big strides forward in.
Offensively, it just seems like there's a lot more there than has come out. Do you feel that way? And what do you do to kind of, it's like this unit's just sitting there kind of ready to blow up. It really hasn't done it yet.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the attention to detail, right? It's the location of throws. It's the ball security so that the ball's not out and you can sustain drives. It's the limitation of the self-inflicted wounds, and it's just the consistent work that needs to be put in and day out, and not overlooking those little details so that the little details can be tightened up and all the little things are right so that the potential of the unit can truly flourish and we can reach that. And that's our job as coaches, to make sure that the intensity and the focus and the attention to detail is there, and that our kids have an appreciation for that and they're locked into that. And until we value those trivial details, those minute details, they're all big, we got to make sure that we do that the right way.
The penalties in particular, the offensive lineman downfield, what's going on with that? Looks like you're in the RPO and maybe those guys are going down and blocking thinking it's a run or something like that. What's going on there?
Yeah, that's the cost of doing business. And we know we've dealt with that for the past 5 years with it all. To me, the penalties that are really hurting us are the ones in the kicking game. We had 7 total penalties in the game on Saturday, and 4 of them were in the kicking game. And that's going to be crucial, to the overall success of the organization. We talk about the special teams being the glue that holds the offense and the defense together. And, every single time that they punted, it was either it was a muff punt. We had a block in the back that started driving inside the 15-yard line, or we were offsides, and it led to another turnover because it gave them an extra set of downs. Now, the defense did a great job and responded there. But, we got to clean up the kicking game. We got to eliminate the penalties in the kicking game. That's where my most concern is right now in terms of the penalties and the things that we need to address in terms of penalties and which area of play.
Obviously, Coop had a huge day 2 weeks ago. They did a really good job of limiting him. It just seems like overall, really going back since he's been here, when he has big games, you guys are pretty successful. And then when he struggles, you guys are kind of struggling. Do you agree with that? And what were they able to do Saturday that you can kind of, get him back in gear this week?
Yeah, I mean, I thought they did a really good job giving extra attention to him, putting an extra hat in the box, so, that when Coop is a special player, and obviously he's going to warrant special attention. So, the biggest thing that you got to do is, if they're going to outnumber you in the box in the run game, then you got to be able to consistently play catch on the edge. And when you throw it, 40 times and you complete 23% of them, or 23 attempts, right, for 55%, that's not consistently enough to chase them out of the structure of their defense that they were in. So they're able to keep the box heavy and, equate numbers to the run game. So we got to be more consistent in the throw game. And that's why our offense over the years has been very, very balanced, because when numbers are right in the box for the rushing attack, we're able to run the ball. When numbers are right in the throw game, we're able to throw it. And our kids do a great job of executing that. And again, that goes back to the attention to detail and being able to play pitch and catch when the box is heavy, when the box is light, being able to execute with great technique and fundamentals in the run game, and being able to take advantage of those light boxes as well. So, again, it's got to do with our execution and, the way in which we equate, numbers and space in the offensive attack. And we just got to get back to our execution and our level of performance when it comes to that.
Obviously, Dante and Devontae are putting up big numbers pretty much every week. Are you concerned, though, that, last week they were basically the only 2 receivers you had? Is there any concern there? Trying to get maybe Polk more involved? I know he played a little more last week, or anything like that.
Yeah, no concern. I mean, we got a lot of offensive weapons that we're able to utilize and distribute in a lot of different ways. And, we got some touches to Chris last week, and obviously getting some touches to Polk, and obviously with Cephas and Walker, their skill set, we're going to lean on them quite a bit. They've warranted that attention and, those sorts of touches. So not overly concerned about that.
All right. Looking, moving forward to Toledo here. Obviously they're playing really well, probably as well as anybody right now. Just talk about what they're doing and who they have. Obviously the quarterback doing some really special things for them.
Yeah, I mean, quarterback is a special player, able to do it a lot of different ways, very dangerous with his arm and his feet. He's got 5 rushing touchdowns on the year. So very dynamic in that aspect. They got playmakers all over the field. They're very, very balanced, roughly 200 yards rushing, 200 yards passing per game, so they make you honor them both ways. And then defensively, a very, very athletic front that's able to get after the quarterback, very disruptive with their D line. And then a very ball hawking secondary. There was 4 straight possessions where they generated a turnover against Northern Illinois. So whenever they're able to, flip the field and generate points, there's a couple pick sixes there. Obviously that impacts and changes the game pretty quickly. So very dynamic, very dangerous in all 3 phases. And we got to do a great job, following our coaching points this week and using great technique and great fundamentals.
They obviously had that game against Ohio State where, Ohio State just kind of got them, but looking at the numbers overall, other than that, their defense has played pretty well. What specifically they able to do? You mentioned the turnovers, which are obviously huge.
Yeah, I mean, the turnovers are key, right? They're able to get off the field and give their offense more opportunities. And again, I think their D line they're too deep in their D line. They're a veteran group. They're very, very talented. It is a true too deep where there's not much drop off between, the ones and the twos, and they're playing 7, 8 different bodies in their front that are, very, very dynamic. Players, both their backers are athletic kids that can run sideline to sideline. So they just create a lot of havoc on defense. They create a lot of penetration. Number one, their defensive lineman, Deshaun Johnson, he's a kid out of Detroit. He's a kid who can play on the edge or he can play inside. He's very, very disruptive. So again, we got to do a great job limiting that penetration and limiting those havoc plays that they're able to create because of their talent and their pursuit.
Last one, Coach, you talk about this every week, but how important is it to get back to kind of controlling things up front, being able to run the ball better than the other team and stop it and that type of thing, especially in a game like this?
It's everything, right? I mean, you got to be able to control the line of scrimmage. If you can't control the line of scrimmage, you're not going to win the game. I think at times we as coaches turn the football field into a science lab, and it doesn't need to be that. Like the game's won up front by those bigs on either side of the ball, and we got to do a great job winning at the point of attack.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it, Alan. Let's go over to TV2's Jack Burney. Jack, any questions for Coach?
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned it a little bit, but Toledo is a big play team defensively. One of their DBs, Mitchell, he's coming off a game where he had 4 interceptions and returned 2 for touchdowns. So just knowing that they do take those swings per se on defense, knowing that, how important is it for you guys to not only limit offensive mistakes, but also try and win the turnover battle by generating some turnovers defensively yourselves?
Yeah, I mean, turnovers is something that we stress each and every single week, Jack. It's a big piece of, growing our kids' football IQ. I think, there's numerous studies that are out there, but we had Scott Booker, Kent State alum, come back, who's the Tennessee Titans secondary coach. And he was talking to us this past offseason about like kind of the 2 things that they track with the Titans is the turnover margin. And that's kind of the number 1 factor when it leads to, victory percentage or win probability, rather than the other thing is quarterback rating. Right. And so not only does this defense do a really good job of generating turnovers, but they do a really good job affecting the quarterback in a lot of different ways. So we got to do a good job. Everyone needs to do their 111th with valuing ball security, which again, the past couple of weeks we've done a poor job of, to where we had the ball out 6 times against Ohio and 3 more times, against Miami of Ohio. That's a major point of emphasis for us. And then, we got to do a great job, in protection and everyone doing their piece when it comes to, our ability to throw the ball so that we can operate efficiently from the pocket and be able to take good calculated shots down range.
Another week, another dual threat quarterback in Finn for Toledo. After going up against Avion Smith, is there anything you saw or that better prepares your defense to go up against another dual threat guy this week?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that's the nature in which the game is right now, right? With all these spread offenses and the ability to have a quarterback that can hurt you in both ways. And it makes you, be a little bit limited in what you're able to do defensively because you got to have someone that's accounted for the quarterback and the +1 runs. So having experienced that and having felt that, last week against Miami of Ohio is only going to better prepare us for, what we need to do this week. But again, they're 2 kind of completely different players in the way they deploy their talent around them. So we're gonna have to play this game for what it is and play it 1 snap at a time.
Last one for me, Coach. Toledo is a very complete team so far. First in the MAC in scoring offense, second in scoring defense. Just knowing that they're strong on both sides of the ball, what are some things you guys need to do well, both sides of the ball, to give yourselves the best chance to win Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, well, the biggest thing is the way in which we prepare, right? I think you get true confidence from real work throughout the course of the week. And there's so many things that we didn't do to the best of our ability the past couple of weeks that we've gone out. And so we need to start in our shop first and foremost and know that we're going to put in an honest week's worth of work. And then that way, that'll give us confidence to go on the road into a hostile environment against a really good football team, to string some plays together that will be some drives and ultimately a game, so we can find ourselves on the right side of the ledger on a road contest.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Let's take things over to our radio crew. Tom Evans, any questions for Coach?
Yeah, Coach. Miami had a big physical offensive line, and they looked really even kind of ran that power home. And you guys did a really good job of it early on, and then they broke some big ones out. Did they make some adjustments in there, or is that just hitting the right play at the right time?
No, I think it was more, Tom, a matter of our kids used good technique early and the technique got a little bit sloppy late. It wasn't anything different in the structure of the scheme or the timing of the calls. It was just a matter of the execution of the plays and the execution of our technique and our fundamentals. And that's the beauty of what this game is, right? You got to take pride in dominating the man across from you for full 4 quarters and 1 rep at a time, getting that done. And when we did, it was really, really good. When we didn't, obviously there was a couple long runs that broke out there that we'd love to have back.
Coach, I've watched probably 3 other college games over the weekend, and I think in each of those games I saw offensive linemen called downfield at least twice in each game. Was that a point of emphasis by the rules committee this year, that was something they were going to look at a little bit more? I know you run the zone read, so you run that risk a little bit more often than others, but it just seems like not just in our games, and in a lot of games I'm watching, that flag's coming out a whole lot more than it used to.
I just think it's one of those things, right, to where the way that the game has evolved, there's more teams around the country that are doing what we do. And so, all the coaches talk to the rest before the games. And I'm sure every single coach in the league, now that we've been in the league for 5 years, says, hey, Kent State in this flash fast offense, they got guys downfield all the time. So you might as well throw those things, so they're aware of it in our contest. And I'm sure, other people, if you look back at their history of those flags maybe that you saw over the weekend, Tom, I'm sure those teams are heavy RPO teams as well. So again, we're all going to live in that gray a little bit. And there's things that, you just, again, you associate with the cost of doing business, and business has been good for us. So I ain't going to change business too much when it comes to those sorts of things.
There you go. And just this Toledo quarterback, he's a run pass guy, but I think maybe he's most dangerous when things break down and he starts creating things. How do you practice? How do you prepare for a guy that is so creative when you make the initial stop, or you take that first read away from him, then he starts running around just making things happen?
Well, fortunately, we got a kid in our shop that's pretty good at those types of things that our defense has seen all spring ball and all summer camp, so when things are broken down for Colin, he does a really good job improvising on the fly. And, our defense has been able to see that for the whole time of his tenure being here. And so I feel like we'll be very prepared for, things that we're going to see come Saturday.
Thanks, Coach.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, last call for a second round of questions. Anything left here for Coach? All right, guys, for those making the trip on Saturday, we'll see you at the Glass Bowl. And Coach, hopefully we're talking about a big road victory.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Go Flashes.